right, Chris Popper here in Bangor. I'm joined by Casey Rush and the cast and crew of the one act play that's upcoming. So tell us, what is the one act play that MDI will be performing this year?
So we're actually going to perform a play called Kafka's Metamorphosis by a playwright named Steve Molds. And it's an adaptation of the really famous novel from like around 1915, I think, in which Gregor Samsa wakes up one morning and realizes he's become a giant bug. He's become like a cockroach. Yep.
What everybody wants to be, right?
Really?
So why did you choose that?
Well, one of the things that we talked about, and I'm talking about like Gray Burkhart and Carlene Hirsch, who are two tech directors, and I spoke about was doing something that has a horror component to it. We don't usually get to do that as a play. And in fact, the last time we did real, what I would call straight up horror, was the one act in 2017, the Mary Gerard, the Insanity of Mary Gerard. And it was a great experience. Usually when high schools do horror, they do like melodrama, which is fine, but it's fun to do something that truly fits in that category. And so that was part of it. And the other part of it was the play has a pretty large cast. This particular one does. I mean, somewhere around 18 or so people in the cast. And we have a huge number of, can I see a show of hands from the juniors behind me? Raise them up so we can see them. There we go. We got a lot of juniors, many of whom were in the one act as freshmen. And so they've been involved all the way through thus far. And we have some seniors. And where are the seniors? Seniors, raise your hands. We got seniors in here as well. So we have a lot of upper class students. And so I wanted to pick a play that definitely would be challenging, but would also have lots of opportunities for upper class to be involved. But then also sophomores and freshmen, raise your hands. Yeah, there's a bunch of sophomores and freshmen. And so that was the other part of it, was to choose a play, to choose a production that would give lots of opportunities for actors and techs from seniors all the way to freshmen to be involved.
Okay, so give us a little refresher here on the one act play rubrics. You have, what is it, an hour to build the set, bring it all out, and then strike the set? What is the time frame that's involved?
I defer to you guys. So some of our actual tech crew people, they better know these answers. No, they do. So how long? Go ahead.
We have 45 minutes for the show, 40 minutes for the show, and 5 minutes to set the set and to strike it.
So a total of 50 minutes, which is, I mean, that's not a lot of time with, to build the set and then strike it. So that way it's just completely the bare stage. And, that's a whole, I guess, just a set right there in terms of bringing sets on. Now everything's created, but it's going to be stored in the side wings and then brought out and put back out. I mean, it's really kind of crazy.
It's a pretty tight schedule. We one of our graduates here from last year, Moxie McBriarty, is hiding in those wings, and she remembers when we performed Jack at States in 2018, and the stage at Wyndham is 80 feet wide, and so it was like a sprint to get from the hallway and the wings to the center of the stage to get set up. So it's tough, but here, of course, our stage is about 30 feet across, so it's not too terrible.
Having just been involved in high school musical at Ellsworth High School, I know what you guys are going through to a limited extent. Tell us how many days a week you're practicing or rehearsing, and what's involved in everything.
My director in high school used to say, athletes practice and artists rehearse. Yeah.
Yes.
But anyway, you're right. Thank you, Chris. We're going about 4 days a week. So Monday and Wednesday And then sometimes an alternating Tuesday, Thursday, and then Saturday mornings. And tech, you guys work a little different schedule. What do you guys do?
We're Tuesday, Wednesday, and Saturday.
Yep.
Tuesday is 4 to 7, and Saturday we go from 9 to noon.
Yep.
Yeah. Now, when you say tech, what's involved in it? I mean, that's lighting, building the stage, the props, the construction of the scenes, is it everything like that, or what else is involved?
Yeah. Sound's also involved in that too.
Yes.
So it's sound, lights, there's a little bit of video, there's props, and there's the set building and design.
I was shocked at going through tech rehearsal and how everything is just so you never notice it being in the audience, but I mean there's tape all over the stage, and I mean, and it's all fluorescent tape, but you never see it because you're out in the audience. I was up above and it was like a rainbow on the stage with all the fluorescent tape, but everything has a design place there, and with just you don't have any clue as that. But tech rehearsals are so labor intensive, and to rerun through a scene and to get it right, and you know the tech people are all like absolute ninjas because everybody's wearing black, and you don't get seen if you do it right, or you're behind a piece of prop or set of the scene while it's being moved. I mean, it's really an art. It's one of those that yes, you have the cast that's out there in front of everyone, but the tech people are so so important, and I think really are the unsung hidden heroes.
And in fact, in this production, we're doing something a little different with that too. So not only are we going to have lights and sound and scenic design and construction and video design and performance and all of that stuff, but we're actually going to we have an ensemble of 4 actors. I don't know if you can see them. You guys raise your hands to Kuroko. I see some hands waving. And so part of what they're going to do as well is be members of the ensemble who actually will be responsible for those scenic manipulation responsibilities during the show. And it's something we've never done before. And I think it will be a fascinating challenge. And it'll add a dynamic to this production that we ordinarily wouldn't necessarily have. So they'll be costumed in a manner that's not so much, it's going to be in the black, so it's kind of keeping that same idea, but they're costumed in a way that they become part of these sort of almost like spirits or entities that sort of are living and working in this space in which the movie is taking place. Yeah.
Now, I know you're hoping that maybe you're going to host, but if you have to go on the road, I mean, then you're ending up using someone else's light board and soundboard, and yeah, you have a little bit of time to learn that, but that gives a whole different challenge on top of it, doesn't it?
Well, sure it does. And we don't have, unfortunately, we don't have anybody here who's ever had that experience because while we were all young, in terms of actually going to and using the light board, using the soundboard actively in another space, because when in 2020, right before COVID, right, or right when we were in the midst of it all kind of affecting us, we had just qualified. The Great Lakes Play had just won the region and qualified to go to states right when we got the word that there were going to be no states. And so we would have had a lot of techs in this room who would have had that experience, but they didn't get it, unfortunately. So It is when you have to go to someone else's space and you have 55 minutes of rehearsal time to learn that system and program your lights and, you know, the whole thing. It's tough.
Yeah, absolutely. How long so when you have to put your lights up in there, you just have 5 minutes to get all of that ready too, or how does the lighting work?
Well, you guys we'll talk, I can talk about it, so we want to jump
I
in.
can talk about it. So, 5 minutes, we don't have to put, in 5 minutes, thankfully, we do not have to hang lights, because that would be obviously a risk in a also like extremely dangerous, because if we're having our head gaffer get up onto a giant ladder, spurring up it, like hooking everything in, and then you have to focus it and stuff like that, that's gonna be hard. But we do have a lot of time beforehand to hang up any instruments that we do want and stuff like that. And we have like an hour, so we can, right?
We have 55 minutes ahead of time, yeah, where we can get in and use the space as our own, absolutely. Yep. In fact,
Not
you know.
not a lot of time.
No, that was Chloe answering that question. Hopefully Chloe's on the screen, you can see her.
Yes.
And Chloe's a senior, so he definitely has some experience with this, with what we're doing. But, you know, just a quick thing. So like, for example, when we were at Wyndham with Jack, we actually had some of our own lights we had on light trees hung up on the edges of the stage. And that had to go in 5 minutes and out in 5 minutes. And there were these big, heavy iron and steel light trees with all of these lighting instruments. And there's a hand crank. And it was pretty, it was the one thing we were most nervous about, because most people don't have to fiddle with lights, but we wanted to have additional lighting. And we did. And it worked out okay, I guess. It seemed to be.
I mean, everything's all choreographed. I mean, you know, from the setup to the striking. I mean, it's, yeah, to get it all done in 55 minutes or 50 minutes is really a great feat. No doubt about it. What am I missing, or what haven't I asked? What do you want to expound on?
Let's have two things. I'd love to hear something about the play itself from Ryder here, but I'd love to hear something about some of the design thinking from, I guess Avery was going to take the lead on that. So you talk a little bit about the general sense of the play, kind of what it's about.
Should I avoid spoilers?
A little bit.
All right, so our main character, Gregor Samsa, he's a bug, and
He's a pest, is what we're saying, right? He's a pest.
Yeah, but there's a lot of things that happen inside the bug, and so we're characterizing the bug with 3 other people that are kind of narrating everything that he does into the body, the mind, and the spirit, and those are each their own characters and entities. And I think, aside from the bug, for me, that's the biggest thing that's going to stand out, that's going to make our play stand out, at least from a narrative perspective, because that's almost what half the play is.
Oh, it's a good chunk of it. Yeah, absolutely.
Those 3 characters just narrating what is happening with
The bug.
Right. Yeah, and that was something that really drew me to the script, because I read like 2 different versions or 2 different adaptations of this script. And then this was, I guess, the 3rd one. And just the way it was written with the mind, body, spirit was fascinating, you know, to really kind of dig into his psyche and to bring it out in a way that the audience could understand it, hopefully gain a sense of empathy.
Dan Fiber, can you come to the main office?
With the character, and basically, I guess, kind of bring us into physically, spiritually, emotionally what's happening with the character, but also to illustrate some deeper concepts within the story itself. Of course, because we're not going to have our actor, where's Lai? Lai's right behind me. Lai's playing Gregor, and Lai isn't going to be in a giant cockroach costume. I know.
What?
So,
I mean, who doesn't want to have 8 furry legs and some antennae, right? And right, it would take you 50 minutes to get into that.
so I was gonna ask Avery if she could to talk a little bit about some of the design elements that they've started discussing.
Most of the play, it takes place in Gregor's room, if not all of it.
Pretty much most of it, yeah.
So instead of building like a 3-wall box for our set, which would be realistic, and the play itself is not a lifelike play because it's a bug. So we're going for a more surreal and impressionistic point of view for the set and the set design.
Yeah, I would like that too. Yeah, absolutely. So, does that sound good?
Yeah, we're also working on adding like I can speak. I can mostly speak for sound and then some for lights. Okay. Well, what we've discussed so far is that we want to incorporate like Mr. Rush said, some horror elements into it, which I think is going to be a lot of fun to play with. Because especially if it's a kind of a dark play with a darkish ending like that, then I think it's important to build up that feeling, I guess.
Okay. Now, the public can come see this. What day was it? Was it Saturday, February 26th?
26th, I believe so, yes.
Yeah. Okay. And then the competition will be that first weekend in March.
As far as I know, unless there's any changes coming down from the Drama Council and the Maine Principals Association, all I know, the only word I received was that they are working with the goal of having an in-person festival of at least regionals, whether or not, we would have regionals and then move on to states. Basically, there's no determination because after last year, when we had to film our shows and submit the video, we could do that. I mean, as far as I know, but my guess is we're probably going to do something in person. That's my guess, especially given that pretty much winter sports are moving forward with some precautions and such. I would think that it would probably be the same for the one act and probably show choir jazz band as well, as far as I know.
Yeah. Well, probably some capacity restrictions as well in the theater, but it'd be great to be able to perform in front of a live audience.
Right.
Especially after all the hours that you put in leading up to it. So it's awesome. Casey, why don't you tell everyone about the website? People can go in and find out more about the MDI High School Drama Department.
Yeah, so it's at mdidrama.org. So if you just type those letters in, it'll take you there. Or if you search MDI Drama on Google, that should be the first hit that'll pop up. It's a new website because, as you might know, we had Google switched us over from classic sites to the new Google sites or whatever they're called, and it wasn't a choice this fall. And so we've been on that same website for probably about 12 years. And this summer and fall, I had to make a new website, which it's a lot more vanilla than the old one was. I mean, because the old one had about 500 pages on it, and this one probably has about 12, maybe 5. I don't know. But yeah, but it still has all content about the shows, content about the program. You can go there. You're just not going to find all of the pages that used to exist because there was just a lot more content there. But it's still there and it's usable. Yep.
All right. Anything else you want to add?
Yeah, I did want to add one quick thing since Eva's up here and asked her to be here to talk a little bit about what approach we're going to take toward music in this particular production.
Yeah, so we've been talking a lot about using some piano underscoring. I've been looking at a few pieces, one of which an alumni of MDI High School composed, named Francis Snyder.
Yep.
And it has to do with creating atmosphere and sort of filling the space in the same way that the set and the tech team are working on creating sets that reflect that atmosphere. And we're looking at using music and using piano to create motifs that fit along with the themes and that fit along with the characters, and they really help to create the whole world in a way that it wouldn't be without that sound element.
Yep.
That's very cool.
And Eva mentioned Francis Snyder. he actually composed a couple pieces of music for our 2021 act. And so this is the second time he's done that. And he's an excellent composer. And I like to think he gave us a good rate. But I mean, as far as I'm concerned, just about any amount we could pay him for his excellent services is worth it. Don't quote me on that, Francis. All right.
All right. Thanks very much. We appreciate you joining us. Best of luck as you go forward, and we're anxious to follow you. And I want tickets to the February public showing. So thanks
Absolutely.
very much. All right. Have a good day, everyone.
Thank you, Chris.